Okay, we are back on the SchmearCast. I am rejoined by Alison Sivitz, a.k.a. Sivvy, a.k.a. Bald Ann Dowd. And Alison, I gave you a little bit of homework for this episode. We said last episode that we were going to watch a Lisa from Blackpink performance. Lisa plays Mook. Did you watch a Lisa performance? What was it, and what'd you think?
I forgot that we had homework until this morning, so I Googled Lisa performance, and this song called Moonlit Floor came up, and she samples Sixpence None the Richer Kiss Me.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, okay, like, love this. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She has a great stage presence. She can say, like, love it. I think she's amazing.
Okay, so I watched Rockstar performed at the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Oh.
Which I thought they got rid of, but I guess it's back.
I didn't know she performed there.
Yep. Her dance moves were immaculate, but I also watched something else that was not a performance. Actually, maybe it was. She's on Hot Ones this week.
Yeah.
And she makes a whole ordeal about not being great with spicy food and being scared, but I know she's lying because she's Thai, and Thai food is so damn spicy.
Yeah, I think you have to step into Hot Ones with a certain, humility. You can't just be like, I'm Thai, I'm going to crush this, because then if you don't, it's so embarrassing.
I think she kind of faked how spicy some of it was, and I think she was handling it like a trooper and was putting on a really good performance, but it was very believable. She's a great actress.
Interesting.
And my favorite fun fact I learned from it was that she has, I think, 5 cats and 1 Doberman dog named Love.
That's cute. That's a lot of animals.
She's adorable.
I didn't finish watching it. I watched the first half, and then I got sidetracked by something. But she seems lovely.
Yeah, she's awesome. With that, let's get into the episode. White Lotus, Season 3, Episode 3. It is titled The Meaning of Dreams, which is very apt. There are a lot of dreams in this episode. And I guess I want to throw it to you and ask, what did you think of this episode? What were your big picture thoughts?
I loved it. I loved all the Goggins stuff we got. I thought he was fantastic. Rick and Chelsea delight me. I liked kind of getting to see more of him. I don't think we've focused on him as much previously, but and we'll get into like the whole snakes thing, but thought he was fantastic. I didn't, well, the Trump thing felt a little on the nose to me. I tend to kind of like tense up anytime someone in television or film references like COVID, or like it feels a little like, okay, we get it, but it wasn't horrible. So we'll get into it, but overall, loved the episode.
That's funny. I actually loved the politics of it and the mention of Russia and the war and Trump. Because I just feel like no one runs at this stuff, even though it is so important in our world today, like in terms of popular entertainment. Yeah. So credit to Mike White for just doing this thing. It felt very European to me. Like if you watch something European, they're always sniping at each other or sniping about world politics. It doesn't really happen in mainstream TV in the US, so I like that. This episode to me felt like the pieces being moved around on the game board and like or like the troops getting into position to strike. Like we're not getting the strike, but we're getting the subtle machinations that are moving certain characters towards each other, away from each other, which is just exciting. I thought the score was tremendous this episode. Cristobal Tapia de Veer. It's the first time that I remember the theme of the show, the news theme, entering into the episode, and it comes in at the end. I also thought he had like a lot of discordant tones going on that get really under your skin, and I thought that was impressive. In terms of the themes of the episode, it's in the title, the dreaminess, and we have a literal dream from Parker Posey's character Vicky, and then we have that snake scene, which feels surreal and dreamlike because Rick is high. It made me think that like when you're far from home on a trip, I feel like your senses are a little more attuned and your dreams are a little more lucid. And I feel like it's because your guard's up. When you're at home, no guard, who cares, right? But when you're so far away, like everything's just a bit heightened. So I thought that was creative and made sense to me.
Definitely. I loved the way the dream at the beginning was filmed. I loved. I thought it was really interesting to see like their house and their family. Like, we get a little more insight into them. I did view it as, obviously, I mean, not saying anything groundbreaking here, but the tsunami seems to me like indicative of like mounting anxiety and regret for maybe the choices you've made in life and like impending doom, all of these things that are very White Lotus. I also thought it was interesting that Vicky, obviously she's like on drugs, that is her vice, and then she sees these things and connects with these feelings through her dreams, which our drug-induced dreams. Timothy is kind of presented with this tsunami and these themes of regret and impending doom and all that stuff when Lachlan shows him the iPad. So he's like confronting these feelings through through technology, through what is his vice. So, interesting little thing.
That's really smart. And you think about a tsunami, it is nature overtaking humanity. There is something like very dangerous and scary about it, but also natural in a weird way. And I feel like that gets to this show with, the animals and the weather. And like, we're just small on this earth in the White Lotus,
Yes.
to these natural forces. Did anything not work for you in the episode? And, maybe we could cover that when we get into the specifics as we walk through the plot. But I had one thing I want to know first, if you had anything.
Mine was I don't know if it works for me, the Trump politics thing.
Right,
I think
right.
Mike White pulled it off as well as you can. I think I just get very tense when someone tries to tackle stuff like that because I know how easily it can become I don't know, try whatever you want to call it. It's just hard to tackle sometimes, but I think he did it all right. So there was nothing that was horrible for me. What was yours that didn't work?
It's funny because this sounds like a strength of the episode for you, but for me it was Walton Goggins. And
really?
the snake metaphor. I thought it was pretty obvious and heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And his therapy scene really bumped for me, and I want to get into why when we get there. Yeah, something just felt off, and maybe it's purposefully off, and we're not getting the whole truth, and that would make more sense, but we'll get there. Let's get into the episode. Starts off with Vicky's nightmare. She is in this moonlit moment. She's got her bottle of pills in hand. She has a comforter wrapped around her. Waves are coming. A tsunami might be impending. Her North Carolina house is behind her, and to see that in the paradise was really unique. Lachlan is sitting there on the beach with the ladyboys. I thought that was notable, and we could get into Lachlan's sexuality, which seems to be up in the air. But, I think that Vicky's way more attuned and sensitive than she comes off, and I think this dream says that. And, when she wakes up, she fakes sleeping. She overhears Timothy's financial issues on the phone. I don't know if she spoke perfect Thai last episode. I might have been reading too much into it last time, but I do think she's way more with it than she's letting on. And she faces down that wave, not even moving an inch. When Lachlan shows the tsunami video later, that's what that person's doing, just taking the wave. So what do you think of this? When it comes to Parker Posey, there's no overread with you. So I want to know what you thought of this dream sequence.
I loved it. I thought it gave us a lot more insight into her without saying anything very explicitly. I did read it as, again, like I said, there's a huge sense of regret maybe for the choices she's made, the life she's built, whatever it might be. But I, from that, did kind of deduce, like you said, that she is more with it than she originally let on. She has these very intense feelings and fears about her life. Clearly she's somewhat aware of what's going on with Timothy. We don't know the extent to which she has overheard all of the details, but she is an interesting one, and I think she has a lot more depth that we're gonna uncover in the next episodes.
By episode end, I just like her more. I can't really explain it. So when she wakes up from the dream, I just love I love Parker Posey's side of mouth talking, how the southern accent comes through and she speaks out of the side of her mouth. It's just tremendous. There's this great scene over breakfast between Rick and Sritala. And by the way, we got to correct our Sritala. Sitala. Before Rick approaches her, Fabian's mentioning that he's written some songs. He'd love to sing them. He gets sidelined so quickly by the handsome, gruff white man coming up to the table, just flirting openly with Sitala.
Yeah.
He's on the charm offensive. He says, "You have so much presence," Elan, as they say. And I did notice that Fabian's kind of clocking him and ready to defend her honor, and nothing comes of that within this episode, but I feel like the seeds are planted there that he is going to have his BS detector up for Rick. What'd you think of this moment? I just love this scene and Rick's flirtation.
It was fantastic. That was a strong Goggins moment for me.
Strong.
He does have that charm. It's very fun to watch. I love Fabian. I don't really understand what his deal is fully, but I just I want him to be allowed to sing. And I'll every episode I will come onto this podcast and say, let Fabian sing.
It's fantastic that it's Christian Friedel, who's such an accomplished actor, and he's doing such a dumb role, and there's just the beauty in that.
the guy from Zone of Interest driving around on a golf cart going, "Sitala."
So good.
So funny. He's fantastic.
You know, Chelsea naturally, Rick comes back to her breakfast table. She's like, what the hell was
What
that?
is that?
Yeah. And he says, I can't tell you, babe. She's like, Scorpio.
I know, that was him saying, how could we be soulmates? Our signs aren't even compatible. I love their banter.
It is good banter.
They have really good chemistry.
I think so too. I love them. Well, I don't know if I love them. They have their own mysteries. You know, she's like, I'm your soulmate, Rick. And he's like, you said it last episode, it just cracked me up. Like, he's got a way with words. He's Mr. Romantic. He can say the meanest shit to this woman. He does say it to her.
And it's still charming.
Yeah, because he does have, like you said last time, an emotional intelligence. Even at the end of this scene, you think he's not listening to Chelsea. He throws back, our signs aren't even compatible. You know, he has been listening in his own way.
He's way more attuned to people's emotions than you would think.
Right. Let's talk about the gossip ladies, the cougars. Valentine comes up to their table. Valentine's a tall drink of water. He announces that he's from Vladivostok, which is a town is a city, I should say, in Russia. It is in Eastern Russia. And he shows off that tattoo to prove that he's from there very quickly. And I was like, something's off with him.
Yeah. Also, hate the location of the tattoo. Not a good, if you're going to get your city tattooed, don't do it on your thigh. He's strange. I don't have a good feeling about him. Do you think that his story is true? To what extent do you think he's telling the truth about his background?
I don't know. I'm going like mafia mobster potential.
That's the vibe I get as well. There's something dark about his whole deal.
And I still think that he is part of that robbery last episode. Again, not the robber, but made Gaitak hold up the thing. So I don't trust him at all. Mm-hmm. The scariest breakfast is what the Ratliffs are up to, where we flash to them. And thank you for this, Patrick Schwarzenegger, but he's just doing like a peck dance.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that the first time, but when I was rewatching this morning, I was like, oh my God, he's nauseating.
This was like a horror movie in miniature. Because, you know, the camera gets all funny. Like, it goes towards the perspective of almost like the cell phone on the table. And Timothy, like, wanting to pick up that call so badly. And there's, like, a claustrophobia to it.
Yeah, the tension.
And already, like, I believe that they're a close family. But everyone's at different ages. They're off at college, you know. Like, it maybe hasn't been together as a unit in a while. And I know that emotions can get tense and ride high on a vacation. That score that I mentioned from Cristobal Tapia de Vere's coming in and making you feel icky, and the whole moment you're just like, Ratliffs are beginning to break up from the inside, I felt.
I love the moment where, what's the daughter's name? Piper,
yeah.
She tells her brother that he doesn't know everything, and he's so smug. He's like, okay.
He's like, I do.
He really truly thinks he has all the answers, but he's basically in this moment as well telling her, like, dreams don't mean anything. You're thinking too much about these things. You can't read into this type of stuff. We all dream about our fears.
So snakes and fire.
Yeah, because we're all afraid of snakes and fire, so we're all dreaming about the same things. And he's just a little twerp.
Big twerp. Needs
twerp.
His protein shake.
Yeah.
So back in their room, you know, Timothy's like a shell of himself. He's holding the pillow like a child. It's Lachlan getting the corrective posture class, but maybe Timothy needs it too. Maybe my favorite line reading of the episode comes from Parker Posey here. And she's talking about the massage.
Gentle but firm.
Yeah.
Incredible.
She pauses after gentle, and you're like, you kind of are like, I want her to say firm. And she's like, I love Pond. She's so gentle, but also firm. And you're like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she gave us what we needed there. I was worried that kind of like as more is revealed about her, as we learn more about her and she becomes this like more three-dimensional person, that some of the caricature like stuff would go away, but no, she's holding it down.
Pam is there. She is bringing a blender for Saxon. Did you think the phones were going in the blender for a moment? Because I saw it was like Chekhov's blender. I thought they were going to throw their phones in there, like Timothy was going to overreact in some way.
That would have been interesting. I did not think
crazy.
But would have been wild. I love Pam. Anytime she's on screen,
Pam.
I get very excited. From the moment she did like what did she say? Like, good for you, good for you.
Good for you, good for you.
Yeah, love her presence. I did not think that they were ever going to get rid of the phones, but I'm certainly happy.
Well, when, you know, the FBI is breathing down your neck,
You gotta ditch it.
Special times call for special measures. Online, everyone's seizing on this see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil thing. Mm-hmm. And we do get those monkeys. They're like statues during a moment in like the B-roll footage. Mm-hmm. But also here, in terms of speak no evil, cell phones seem to be the opposite of salvation. You know, they are evil. And it seems like if Timothy listened to his lawyer, who I think that's who he's on the phone with, and didn't speak to anyone, maybe the situation could blow over. But he did pick up the call for the reporter. He did pick it up for his business partner. The hotel said, hand us your phones. They didn't listen. So there you go.
Yeah, that's on them. I can't imagine the amount of, I don't know if they turned their phones off before they put them in the bags, but the idea of those just ringing constantly and someone having to like sit by that bag who works at the White Lotus, that would give me a panic attack.
Oh, yeah, the electronics minder. Don't want that job.
No.
I'm worried because Lachlan doesn't have his porn anymore.
That's going to get dangerous. He now has no outlet.
He has a brother and a sister.
And a mom. Oh, my God.
I am worried about him.
Horrifying. I mean, he has Chloe, I think.
Yep. That seems to be brewing.
Yeah.
I love this line reading from Patrick Schwarzenegger. Pam my ass! No! And Pam's just like right there.
Like,
what? His family's so mean.
Yeah.
Timothy's like, son, there's more to life than just success. And he's just lying through his teeth because he's, you know, he's feeling the tsunami impending. I love Patrick Schwarzenegger's incredulous scoff. He's like, huh? Like what? Dad? You know?
Yeah. There's something so bleak and bone chilling about the way he says, like, I just love to work. Like,
yeah.
It's horrifying. Would never want to receive an email from that man. I know he has copious spelling errors in every email. He does not strike me as the kind of guy who can write a sentence.
The first thing he says to his dad is, I know I don't have that much going on at work right now.
I know. He does nothing. He's so useless at the company.
I'm sure that's true. He does like a golf meeting. I'm sure of that as well.
Oh, yeah. He's getting all the perks and doing absolutely nothing.
Guy Talk's so cute. He's too cute for this world.
He gives me a weird vibe now. I'm almost now on board with the idea that he was involved in the robbery because something about him not preventing it at all. Like they were kind of like on him for not being able to do his job. There's that kind of tense exchange, but he really wants to still be like her bodyguard in Bangkok. There's something about him that is off to me now. I don't know. I think.
So you think he's like, playing 4D chess?
I kind of do, and we don't suspect it because he's very lovely and nice. And again, like I still believe that Rick might have something to do with it, which again, like nobody else seems to think, so might be way off. But Guy Talk gives me a weird vibe now.
Wow. He gives me lovely vibes, and I am worried for him because any nice person in the world of White Lotus is not long for this world, you know? We learned that Fabian wanted him fired for that slip-up that allowed the robbery, which is interesting. Something else I learned from the official podcast last week about the actor who plays Guy Talk is that he's actually like a trained killer and a security guard and an actor. So he's like a Thai soldier.
Oh my God.
He's ripped and tough and has serious training with being a bodyguard. And he actually had to train the fake bodyguards because they're actors into how to be tough and real. Isn't that cool?
That is wild. I never would have thought that.
I know.
He really doesn't give that vibe at all.
I know. With his smile and his cute little haircut. We'll see what's up with Guy Talk. Piper goes to the monastery and she gets on the monk's books for Friday. We learned that she's considering a 1-year program. And let me tell you, that's not going to go over well with her family.
I don't think they will care that much.
Really? Yeah, I guess.
I feel like they're all disconnected and like they don't have to be there. I think her going off and doing her own thing would be kind of inconsequential because they're not on the same wavelength at all.
Classic middle child.
Yeah.
It's true. They don't seem to care what she does. She's already in university. It's really the fate of Lachlan about what school he's going to, if he's gay or straight. You know, that seems to be what's up in the air more. So, you know, maybe you're right. Piper, just go to the monastery. Have a nice year.
Yeah, I like the idea that the monks are like really booked this week. That's funny.
It's a popular monk. So Rick's second wellness session with Amrita. Would you do well with Amrita? I think I would like get really deep with her. She seems like she seems like the realest wellness person. She's not doing Reiki, blowing, pushing like Valentine is.
I think I would like her. I think she would maybe get stuff out of me. I often have trouble with stuff like that because, like, the idea of catching someone up on everything really stresses me out. It's like you weren't there, so you don't really, like, you don't know me. But
sure.
No, I think she would be my best bet at the White Lotus, Thailand.
I agree. So this is why the scene rang a little false to me.
Yes.
Rick again goes back to the fact that his dad was murdered and it took away his life from Rick. And I just find that very dramatic. So in 53 years of his life, that's how old Walton Goggins is, whatever. Maybe that's how old Rick is as well. He's still on this issue and, like, really can't let it go. There's, like, a little bit of, like, why now to me that I feel like another shoe has to drop. If his dad was murdered but he never met him, I'm just, like, not computing why it matters.
That's why last episode I brought up that I think the man he's after, or this life of crime, is very deeply connected to his dad. Like, there is something that he feels he needs to finish or find out, or like, there is something that he is after here. It can't be. Yeah, I don't think his dad was killed and it's just, like, still bothering him. I think there is some level of unfinished business that is dangerous or, you know, I don't know, treacherous in some way that we're going to find out about. But there is so much more to this. So I think it's fascinating that he keeps going back to this dad thing.
Belinda continues to have a very nice time at the White Lotus.
Yeah.
This, like, water therapy with porn shy, that looked really nice.
Yeah. I want, like, a... after the episode, I want them to, you know how, have you ever watched Love Island?
No,
They
I'm sorry.
broadcast, they do, like, a Monday through Saturday thing, and then on Sundays they release, like, all the unseen footage from the week from the house, and I want them to, like, after the White Lotus drops every week, do, like, here's 20 minutes of, like, what Belinda was up to, and she's just, like, having fun.
We need to talk about Lachlan's posture class, because that just slayed me. The therapist he's working with, his name is Fa, and I don't know who this actor is, but he just crushed his 2-minute scene so hard. Lachlan's, like, squirming in his seat. Sam Nivola doing a great job. Fa, the therapist, says, pleaser, people pleaser.
People pleaser, yeah. Incredible. I thought Lachlan's physicality was really good in this. The way he kind of goes from, like, feminine to mass. He, like, tries to, like, buff up, and he played it very well. But there was again, like, the Fa talks about how he's, like, trying to protect himself with his feminine, which I found interesting, because I do think, you know, we've seen him kind of seek solace in his sister and even kind of his mom to an extent.
Stare at his brother's butt.
Exactly, and he's on the beach with his mom in that opening scene. So he's really kind of in touch with his feminine in a way that is, I think, stressing him out. Really thought it was just a posture thing, but he's being asked to interrogate everything that's contributing.
Sam Nivola's line, how long is this session?
Yeah.
You know?
He's great. I really, really, really like Lachlan as a character. I'm excited to hopefully see more. I hope he has a lot of posture sessions.
I do too. I hope we have lots more of Lachlan. Should we talk about snakes? Is it time?
Yeah.
All right. So Rick dashes off into town. He needs weed, and he gets it. And I love this when he hears about dinner with Chloe and Greg, because that would be my reaction as well. Who wants dinner with Chloe and Greg? They seem awful dinner partners. Yeah,
I'm kind of perplexed by Chelsea's insistence on continuing to hang out with them. They don't really seem
Her and Chloe are already saying love you to each other.
Yeah, I don't know. Even if I made a friend like that, I don't know that I would want to, like, get dinner with her and her elderly boyfriend. Like, that's just a bad, like, their vibe by the pool is fine, but the dinner thing doesn't make sense to me.
Rick takes one big inhale of his joint, and he's like, let's get fucked up. Snake show. And it just, like, clicks in his head, like, we need the snake show. They go to the snake show. I mean, I don't know if I love this scene. It's very odd and strange, and a departure from the gorgeous environs of the White Lotus Hotel. Very trippy. Rick seems to kind of be on the verge of a panic attack, which does eventually come. But I wanted to ask you, when he's at this snake show and this terrible, like, carnival barker is, like, doing this is the Cobra, like it's very lame and 2-bit and cheap. And he's looking around at the people there. What's he thinking? Like, what's his reaction in that moment as he stares down the crowd, as he looks at the snakes? What do you think he's thinking?
I don't know what he's thinking when he thinks of the people. I think he might be a little bit angry or upset at the way that they're just kind of like viewing these animals as entertainment, not really giving any thought or empathy to the fact that they are locked up to live here and they don't have the freedom that they deserve. In his mind, he's very hung up on the fact that these animals are being contained. I viewed it as, again, like something with his dad. There's like a generational trauma vibe that I'm getting there. I think like a snake eating its own tail, trying to break habits, trying to break cycles. Like that is how I viewed this piece of the story, this window into Rick's psyche. I think he's very hung up on trying to break his own destructive habits and whatever came before him that is causing him all of this pain and strife.
I think that's incredibly well said. I also think that Rick is the snake too, the simplest connection. I think your point is much better than mine. I was thinking he looks at those people and they're like drinking sodas and eating chips and he's just like, fuck this shit. Like, I hate these people. I don't know, but it does make more
hate people.
Yeah,
for sure.
It does make more sense that they are spectators of a wild, lethal animal that is in like a little carnival show. I think that's a good read. Snakes are everywhere within this season so far. We have that snake tiara that Chelsea was eyeing in the store before the robbery. We have Saxon mentioning snakes and fires in dreams. I watched this with the subtitles on. I didn't catch this without them, but at the snake show, the guy says the cobra comes up through the toilet, and I'm like, we're gonna get a cobra coming up through the White Lotus toilet this season. I did not catch that.
Wow.
Doesn't that make sense? Like, wouldn't you expect that?
Yeah, that was like my biggest fear as a kid.
Snakes or coming out of the toilet. Stuff coming out of the toilet. Like I'm from suburban Pittsburgh. I don't there weren't a lot of snakes. No alligators in the sewers.
Yeah. But I was like, in the way that a lot of people fear quicksand, I thought that stuff coming up out of the toilet was going to be a way bigger problem for me.
Well, get ready for this show. I feel like that's going to happen.
I hope I didn't just jinx it. I live in New York. Anything could happen.
It's true. The dinner scene. We always love a dinner scene. This awful, awkward dinner between Greg and Chloe and Rick and Chelsea. Can they just stop dining together? Because I'm done with them.
We don't need it. They don't need it. Nothing good is coming out of it.
Yeah. Belinda's with Porn Chai, and she says, I think I recognize that man, referring to Greg. This is 2 times now, just as a visual gag. The camera cuts to Greg. He's doing something very lame, like fixing his napkin or stabbing his food. It's just very funny. But yeah, he denies it, obviously, but that's...
What name is he going by now?
Gary.
Yeah.
He does clock something, though. He is not fully out at sea. He notices Chloe and Saxon staring each other down. And they had a little flirtation by the pool earlier. Greg clocks this, and his face kind of scared me. Because...
Yeah, he's terrifying. He's very quiet, but...
I can't get a read, and that's what makes him extra scary. Scary Gary.
Scary Gary. There was also that throwaway Goggins line at the beginning when he tells Chelsea to find another rich guy while he's in Bangkok, and that's kind of the vibe that we're getting from Chloe. She kind of is interested in this other rich guy,
right,
who is more age appropriate. But that's my final statement: is ew.
The camera shifts to a different dinner moment, and that's the Cougars having dinner.
Oh, God.
This is the scene you wanted to avoid talking about, but here we are. Lori's asked how her session went, and she says it was kind of weird. I haven't been not touched by a man like that in such a long time, which is a funny line.
Yeah.
Lori's got some bars. She's funny. Carrie Coon's quick with it. But then Kate says, I just find it goofy or spooky. Yeah, we go right into politics. She mentions how much she's loving going to church in Austin. She says that she's now an independent, and Lori and Jacqueline are just incredulous. And she says, well, they're more conservative there than LA people or New York people. And Lori says, you didn't vote for Trump, did you? And Leslie Bibb makes the best face of the episode. I can't even replicate it.
Incredible work by her here, I will say. As much as this made me just feel pain. It was really something to watch. I think it also, I do want to say, speaks to the not fragility, but flimsiness, I guess, of the relationships between these women, because I cannot imagine having a quote-unquote close female friendship with someone whose politics I don't know. Like, there's so much about being a woman and bonding with other women that is inherently political, and the fact that this, like, never came up is baffling to me. Well, I guess not, because, I mean, I didn't get the vibe that they were particularly close or actually, like, supportive of one another, but it really kind of pinpoints, like, hey, these women don't know each other at all, and this friendship is pretty fake.
Right. And you wonder what Kate's politics were in the past, because it seems like they used to know what she was all about, and now they don't.
Yeah.
You know? That's not the end of that. There's still a little bit more
Surely
gossip
not.
to go. So let's go to the end of the episode. Everyone tucking in for an awful night of sleep, probably. First, let's start with Belinda. She senses something in her room after Pornchai drops her off. And here I was thinking, you know, you've been on Monkey Watch.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about snakes. Something was in there, but then it cuts away before we know what it was, you know?
Truly no idea. I don't even... it's probably some, like, yeah, a snake or a monkey or some kind of animal, but I truly have no idea what was going on there. Could not tell you. We'll find out, I guess. Maybe it's a snake in the... maybe she hears the snake, like, in the toilet, like, plumbing system, and you really had foresight into what's going to happen.
Maybe it's a snake riding a monkey.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cute.
Double dip. We get Rick and Chelsea, and can Chelsea just stop saying things like, if you kill me, I'll follow you into the next life and the next? I feel like every other line of hers, she's referencing her own death.
Her own death, yeah.
This also doesn't make me feel good.
This gets back into, like, again, the fact that Rick let a snake out who then bit and almost killed Chelsea goes back to my theory that he was involved in the robbery in some way, because he had that, like, look like he did this thing. I know this is not a popular, again, I know no one thinks that Rick did it. The fact that he did an action for some reason that he understood and felt that he had to, I don't know, he did something that he felt he had to do, and it almost hurt Chelsea. That seems to be a recurring theme. So I don't know. Just something.
He could also just be deranged.
That's true. I think that's also true.
But he does have a moment of pathos. He says evil things shouldn't be treated like shit. Yeah. He's talking about the snake, but he's talking about himself. No one's treating Rick like shit besides Rick. So he's got to kind of get with the program.
Complex. Maybe he's been treated very badly in the past, but everyone's being pretty lovely to him.
Right. Back to the gossip ladies, back to the Cougars. You know it had to happen. Every episode, two are pairing off, one's left out, and the gossip begins. And here we get Kate on the outs as Lori and Jacqueline gossip. And I couldn't hear this, but the subtitles, thank you, this is what it said. She's always taking on the attitude of the person she's with.
Yeah, that is something that we clocked very early on, is that she was trying to be like a Jacqueline. She's trying to take on this this vibe, this very kind of fabulous, I don't know, whatever Jacqueline has going on, the successful, beautiful, rich, striking woman. And she does seem like the type of person who, she married a Republican, and then she kind of like took on a lot of that, probably to further their relationship because she liked him. It's a sad personality trait. It is a sad way to live, and this shed more light on what I think we kind of clocked early on. Very interested in the Michelle Monaghan Carrie Coon pairing. Those are two who we haven't really seen one-on-one yet, and
it's so juicy to show us all different variations of the table and the different legs of it, you know. Now we've seen each one get shit talked behind their back. Each woman has a different reaction, right? Like, how would you compare and contrast how they all react to the shit talking?
This is a really good question. Carrie Coon fully loses it.
She has that ugly cry, right?
That ugly wail.
But then she kind of toughens up.
Herself. So she kind of like, she'll experience an emotion and then she has to immediately compose herself and get on with it. Leslie Bibb is like terrifyingly stoic.
Sad. I thought she was the saddest, maybe.
She was sad, but she wasn't really emoting. I think Michelle Monaghan, we saw, was she drinking? She was kind of like self-medicating in a way that feels very
was like drawing a bath for herself. I think like people pointed out that she was kind of excited or happy to see that she was being talked about, because maybe that's part of the dynamic always. So like if she's being gossiped about, that means the order of the world is correct, you know?
Yes.
I think you're right to point out Leslie Bibb as like the wild card, because like she had no reaction, which is maybe the creepiest of the reactions.
Yeah, because we know that Carrie Coon is very accustomed to being like that third wheel, so her reaction makes total sense. And then Michelle Monaghan has this kind of like ego. I don't know. She's used to being the top dog, but Leslie Bibb is the floater, the one who, again, like she takes on the personality of whoever she's with. So interested to see what her arc will be.
I'm loving Lori, Carrie Coon's character. I said it earlier in the episode, but my favorite moment from the last one, I'm so glad that this got clipped, is her reacting to Kate's gossip when she's just like, exactly, you know, like she's just like the earthiest and the realest and the easiest to get behind between these three ladies easily.
I think she's the one the viewer is meant to identify with the most.
Right. That makes sense.
So she's the most likable of the three, whatever likable means. Like I just think she's the realist.
The realist. I think that's exactly right. The episode ends again on Timothy and Vicky. It's quite unique. All three episodes I've been started with one, then I felt it in two, now I feel it again. Like, is this the most interesting aspect of the show? Like, why is Mike White ending it on them always? Because to me, it's not, you know? Like, I'm a little surprised that this is always how we wrap. But what do you think?
I don't know. It's perplexing. I do think ultimately this is the Ratliff's story. This is their season. They are I haven't seen The Staircase on HBO, but apparently a lot of this was based on that. A lot of the Ratliff stuff was based on that family. I think also Parker Posey and Patrick Schwarzenegger were in that show, which is interesting. But
Patrick was she?
I think she had a cameo in it, because I saw a clip of her.
Okay.
I might be wrong, because I don't know anything about it. It feels very much like their season, their story. So I think we almost forget that, because the other personalities in the season are very strong. So we kind of have to circle back and like level again and say, okay, this is for that. Like, this is all about them. It all comes back to them. So I don't know. It's very strange. It feels very strange to kind of end on a downbeat every time, but you know, Mike White knows what he's doing. No,
I know that he does, and you're absolutely right. But it is interesting. I feel like we've seen the same thing with Timothy for 3 episodes now. Like, something's got to change. And what I think that is the drugs, you know, like he's starting to take drugs. I do believe he is very uptight, very no nonsense, very no drugs up to this point. We saw him on the treadmill at like 15 miles per hour sprinting last episode. It gave me flashes of Armand, because Armand in season 1 is also very composed, very uptight, like got his shit together. And when the drugs entered the picture, he went full crazy. So I think Timothy's heading in that direction too.
Yeah, there's also this sense of him through drugs kind of getting more in touch with his feminine, because the way I don't like drugs in this show are up until now have been like associated with the woman, and there are a lot of themes of masculinity and kind of abandoning masculinity and what that means for how you present. It's a very interesting thing. So him kind of maybe turning away from the work and the crime and all of that, and kind of just like allowing himself to detach. There's a lot of detached femininity here. Like, you survive by kind of turning off parts of your brain. Like we see with the women, like you have to drink or isolate yourself or pair up with someone else to talk shit about someone else to survive. Like, I don't know if this is making sense. I'm interested to see what happens to Timothy now that he's kind of like being pushed toward his wife and the medication and all of that.
Yeah, this is what I meant when I said that the pieces on the game board are like entering position. The phones have been taken away. This character's on drugs. That character's heading to Bangkok. Like, it's about to start happening. Yeah. These are like 3 kind of lead up episodes where I had a lot of fun in the margins still, you know?
Absolutely. And we found out that they're all going to kind of be in the same place next episode.
Right.
They're all getting onto a boat together. So it's
that's going to be
aligning.
Amazing. It's a perfect segue. I was going to ask what you're looking forward to, but that's number 1, right?
Yeah. To see them all in a confined space. I mean, that is the joy of White Lotus, is when all of these personalities really start to mix in ways that we haven't seen.
Yeah. That's the joy of television, you know? Like, I think of Succession and like how many parties are had, and, you know, just characters mixing and mingling and fighting. Like, give it all to me. that's the episode. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming back to cover it. Any
Thank
last
you.
thoughts you want to share?
I'm gonna do more Lisa research.
Okay.
I'll come back with more thoughts next time. I think I'm all in on Lisa.
All in.
Yeah.
You and hundreds of millions of other people.
Yeah.
You're really breaking new ground with that
I'm
take.
really brave and really ahead of the curve with this one.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
See you soon.